Glaze is overrated and overused. I think the thing I hate the most about glaze on pottery is that it covers up and hides the natural colors and textures of clay. People tend to think that pottery isn't food safe unless it's glazed, but that isn't always true either. In this video, I will explore a subject I've never touched on before: pottery glaze. And more specifically, why glaze isn't all it's cracked up to be, and what alternatives to glaze there are. Glazed ceramics developed in different places around the world at different times, some of those quite early. Still, the vast majority of people worldwide ate their dinner on unglazed earthenware until rather recently. All of that beautiful Greek pottery that is so widely admired is unglazed. And while I have read that the Romans had glazed pottery, do a simple Google image search for Roman pottery and you will see lots and lots of unglazed terracotta. Even the amphora that Greek and Romans famously used to haul olive oil and wine across the Mediterranean Sea was just unglazed earthenware that was sealed with wax or resin. It wasn't until Renaissance time that glazed pottery came into common use in Europe. And even then, it took centuries more before unglazed pottery stopped being used there entirely. To this day, people in other parts of the world, Latin America, India, Africa, and elsewhere, commonly use unglazed ceramics for cooking, eating, and other things. So if all of our ancestors used unglazed ceramics, and people today still use it commonly in some places, can it be as bad or as dangerous as it's commonly made out? The danger lies in the porous nature of low-fired ceramics. As you eat on or cook in these, the juices from your food can soak in, then later spoil. The ceramics themselves could then harbor dangerous bacteria within their walls. But the people who live with these pots know how to use them, and the heat of cooking will kill any bacteria hiding in the cooking pot. After use, clay pots and dishes should be washed and allowed to dry to keep them clean and safe. Also, there are many different ways of sealing pots to keep out most or all of those food juices. You can seal pottery with starches, oils, milk, beeswax, tree sap, and chemical sealants like liquid quartz. Glazes aren't the end-all and be-all of food safety either. Glazes can develop small cracks in them which can harbor bacteria too. And these, like unglazed earthenware, are not considered food safe. When I learned about this, I made a search of my own cupboards and found a number of dishes with crackled glazes. Maybe I should throw these items out. Or maybe I should just apply some common sense. Here are the common sense rules I apply to dishes that are not food safe. 1. Seal the dishes using one of the many options available. 2. Wash and dry after each use. And 3. Never store food in your pottery. Just as the millions of people who eat off of crazed, glazed ceramics every day aren't dropping like flies, so too, the millions of people in places like Africa and India and Latin America who eat on unglazed ceramics every day are not filling up the hospital emergency rooms in those countries. In spite of government warnings and food-safe labels, common sense still reigns supreme in many kitchens around the world. So you might ask yourself, what's wrong with glaze? Why not just glaze a pot just to be safe? For one thing, glazed pottery usually needs to be fired twice. This uses time and resources unnecessarily. On the other hand, unglazed pottery is one and done, fired once and it is ready for use or sale or whatever, with far less fuel consumed. Another point is that ceramic glazes are usually made with chemicals. One of the beautiful things about pottery is that it is closely tied to the earth and is made with simple, natural elements like mud and sand. Then to bury all of that nature with gobs of chemical glazes seems like some sort of abomination to me. And that brings me to my last point. Glazes cover up and hide the natural beauty, the colors and textures of the native clay. There's something really elemental about clay. The smell, the feel and appearance touches something deep inside of me. You can create wonderful textures and patterns in clay. These are a tactile delight, but if you cover these up with glaze, they are lost forever. Natural, unglazed pottery is wonderful, The rich colors, warm textures, and the beauty of natural clay is not matched by any glaze. I'm not saying glaze isn't good at all. It has its place. But what I'm advocating for here is that you think about the wonders of unglazed ceramic and try making and using some of it. Don't get stuck in a creative rut where all pottery has to be glazed in order to be good or usable. Think outside that box and consider unglazed pottery. All right, let's talk really quick about glaze alternatives, other ways of decorating pots that don't involve glazes. The number one I want to talk about is burnishing. This is a pot that's not fired yet, but you can see the red areas are shiny. They've been burnished. That is just taking damp clay and polishing it with a smooth stone. Very easy for anyone to do without any special equipment or tools, and makes a really nice natural finish on that pot. Now, besides giving it a nice burnish and a polish, you can also paint designs on those pots. Let me show you a couple of real easy, all-natural paints that you can use on pottery. The first one I'm going to talk about is organic paint. Organic paint is actually just a plant that's boiled down to a thick syrup and then painted on the pot. And in the firing, that carbonizes and leaves black designs. Now, there's a whole process to doing this. You don't just go out and put any organic matter on any pot and leave with these black designs. You have to have the right clay that you're laying it down on and the right firing atmosphere. But I've got a bunch of videos about that, and I'll put a link to that down in the doobly-doo so you can learn more about the organic paint process. But another paint that was commonly used in the ancient Southwest and is all natural is mineral paint. So this pot is painted with mineral paints. That is, paints that are made from natural mineral pigments that are ground up and applied to the pot. And again, there's a whole process to this. You have to have a fixative and a binder. And I'll put a link to a video about using natural mineral paints down in the doobly-doo as well. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is slips. All of these pots have colorful slips applied to them. So the natural body clay that I use to build these is gray or brown or something boring. If I want to make them red or white or something more colorful like that, then I have to apply a slip, a thin layer of clay that is like a paint that adds color to that pot. I've got a whole video about making and using clay slips that you're going to want to check out, and I'll link that up right over here. So go watch that and learn how to make those clay slips to make your pots more beautiful and apply a natural finish to them without glazes. Thanks for coming along with me today. I'll catch you next time.